Do you ever feel stuck in the rat race? Life doesn't have to be that way if you're willing to put in the work. In Bigger Vision, Chris Garrison helps you discover the keys to abundance, freedom, and personal growth that let you live the life of your dreams. And now, here's your host, Chris Garrison.
Welcome, everybody. It's Chris Garrison. You've made it to the Bigger Vision podcast. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. And I've got a topic I believe that will touch each and every one of you if you're listening to this because you're trying to grow. And it's moving from the technician to the CEO. There's been so many startups, small business startups lately, and especially with the money that was influxed in COVID, furloughs, layoffs, that type of stuff. Many people say, well, let me just go on and do my own thing. And then the work from home situation also spurred that. So in the last several years, entrepreneurship has been a sexy term, and that's been something that many people have dreamed about. But a lot of that has come to reality in just the last couple of years. So a couple of statistics. In 2020, startups, their application process, there was 4.38 million applications for startup businesses. That's just insane. 69% of those were started at the home and 40% became profitable. Now, only 58% have less, or 58% have less than $25,000 of disposable capital. And that's the reality right there. If someone said, I want to start a business, Chris, what do I need to do? I would say the first thing is add value. Because if you're going to bring something to the marketplace, it has to hold a level of value. Otherwise, you're selling snake oil and it will not last. It will not be profitable. But as soon as you have something that is valuable, something that someone needs, that enhances their life, then you've got something that's sellable. That can be a product, that can be a service, that can be an idea, even with like coaching or mentoring. This right here you're listening to, this is a free, but if I wanted to package this and sell it, I would be able to sell it as a mentoring coaching program for mindset, business, and investing. So my number one statement would be bring value. And then outside of having something valuable to offer to the marketplace, you've got to have an audience. You got to get in front of your audience. So how do you get in front of your audience? This is where most people don't realize the effort that it's going to take, and or they're not sold on their why and the determination to be profitable, to make it happen. It's just a dream. I'm going to try it. If it doesn't work out, then it wasn't God's will. No, this is something that you have got to dedicate yourself with because it's going to consume your life in the beginning. And I'm speaking in terms of the W-2 employee that's rolling into entrepreneurship as a startup, not the individual that has six figures sitting in the bank account, disposable, and it's not going to put a tight on their personal lifestyle. That person right there is a different situation. They don't do startups. If they do a startup, they're hiring someone with that skill set that's already worked in that industry, and all they're doing is piecing the puzzle together. And once they've got that puzzle pieced together, they push money into marketing, more and more money into marketing. And they've got someone that's great at the operations and putting in those standard operating processes and managing individuals, the team members with key performance indicators. So they've got all of this puzzle built together, and they're just propping it up and pushing it and painting the vision of here's what we want to be, here's where we're growing to be, and here is our exit plan. They start a business to sell a business. But your average entrepreneur starts a business to get out of their W-2 job because there's a picture painted of freedom. There's a picture painted of being able to do what you want to do and when you want to do it. There is a picture painted that you will have more money than what you have coming in compared to your W-2 job. And you've also got the freedom of time to do and go whenever you want to. And these are truths. They are not truths in the beginning. When I started my business, it's all I ate and drank. If I wasn't at work actually performing the service out of a service-based business, Absolute Cleaning and Restoration, started it a little over 5 years ago. I had a $500 investment. I went and bought some equipment, and then I began to beat the streets, knocking door to door so that I could bring on commercial customers that I could have monthly reoccurring revenue from. And then I began to increase my equipment and my technical skills along the way so that I could take on bigger and better jobs and do a better job. In all essence, just execute a better job quicker. And then I began to get at capacity, and I would hire individuals that were my team members to come in and do those tasks. So I started delegating off when I was reaching capacity. But that shit sucked. And it was necessary because I started with no capital, with no money sitting in reserves, and I did not have the education or experience of running a business. I started as a technician. I said, I know how to go in and clean carpet and do it in a detailed manner that nobody else is going to be able to do it to the level of detailed and cleanliness that I'm going to be able to bring it to. I said, no one else is going to be able to stand behind their commitments the way I'll commit. When I tell someone it's 100% money back guarantee if you're not satisfied, there was no arguing about it. I went in there knowing I was either going to be able to clean this, or I told the customer up front, here's your expectation. I can get it about 50% of the way. If they were still okay with it at that point, then their expectation was set. Therefore, I was able to bring the value that they were expecting. And so many people go in it not committed. You have to be committed if you're going to build anything in life, not just a business. If you're going to build a relationship, if you're going to build a network, a family, a church family, a social family, anything that if you're trying to build yourself up in your W-2 job that's for another company where another business entrepreneur had a dream and set this company up, and now you're there supporting that dream. Anything that you're trying to build, if you're trying to move up, is going to take commitment, because that is the weakest link that you will find when you look at the average ordinary person. Their commitment level is not there. I would go to work, perform my services, and come home and sit there and indulge for hours until I went to bed about how to do something, and the roadblocks that I had ran into that day. I would hit it in the search bar, and how to remove a red stain out of commercial carpet, whatever the case was. Not everybody's willing to do that, and because I was willing and committed and determined. And I felt like that was my last chance. I felt like if I didn't make it from this, then I was a failure. I didn't want a big L on my transcript. I wanted a W. I wanted to win. And there was a hunger for success and winning. And there was a hunger to change my life. And there was a passion that said, this right here is going to graduate me into a level and platform that I'm able to have more freedom. I'm going to sacrifice, hear that word, because that's what it takes in the beginning. Anytime that you are trying to reach another level, something's going to have to be sacrificed. You can sit there and watch it in the Bible. You can read it in the scripture if you're a spiritual person. And there was always a sacrifice before you were able to gain a new level. It's the exact same thing in this real world, this realm that we live in. Is to accomplish something and make it to the next level, there is going to be a sacrifice. I sacrificed my time. I sacrificed the time to go and hang out and chill and watch TV or do whatever it is that you might love to do. Because I knew that if I put in a work right now and I began to educate myself on a skill set, and I made commitments and back them up to my customers and myself, that I would be able to move in to build a company that would be able to support a lifestyle that we all dream about when we say we want to be an entrepreneur. So I started in night cleaning because I was doing commercial restaurants, and I would go in and clean at night, and then I had to stay available for my phone during the day. So if I got a phone call, I would literally wake up from the call and hello, 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 and then answer it and say hello so I didn't sound like I just woke up. Because I didn't want my residential customer or my daytime customer to think that I was a lazy bum sleeping. Because you can't just hop on the phone and say, hello, this is Chris. How can I help you with Absolute Cleaning and Restoration? And then give them a spill of, oh, I worked all night, so sorry, I sound so raspy. I just woke. You can't tell that. So you do whatever it takes. You do whatever it takes to accomplish the goals that you have set out to accomplish without breaking and affecting your integrity. I never recommend doing something that's dishonest. Integrity is a very high and valuable thing. People will do business with high integrity people, even if they don't execute at a high level, because there's so many dishonest people out there. And you separate yourself apart when you say, I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock, and you show up at 8:50. You're there early, and you do it over and over and over again, not once. Because now they've got an expectation, and that expectation you've got to meet now that you've said it. But that expectation is higher than what all of your competition has. So now that you have sacrificed your time, you're following it up with commitment, and you're bringing value of a service or product that you had planned in the beginning. And now you're out there telling every single person that you can who you are and what you do. Because you've got to get in front of your audience. You want to scale something, you will absolutely never do it being a secret agent. But as soon as you decide to take off the secret agent hat and cloak and sunglasses, and you move out into the marketplace with boldness, and you state what your name is and what you do, you begin to share your story, and that passion captivates your audience. And they immediately want to help you with your endeavor, because passion is very, very far and few. But when you meet somebody with passion, you know the determination behind that passion is going to allow them to succeed. And people want to be a part of success. I've seen it over and over again in my life, through business, through everything that I've done, because there's such a passion to excel. People say, man, I'm just so impressed, because you definitely got it going on. How do you handling and juggling all the stuff that you do? I get those remarks. Man, you constantly stay busy. I'm just trying to stay up with you. That's because I'm passionate, and I air what I'm doing, because I'm telling everybody, because I want an audience. If they don't know you, how are they going to ask for you? If they don't know what you do, how do they know to even ask for you? It's so important, and so many people miss that concept and don't utilize free platforms like all these social media platforms that have eyeballs on them all throughout the day and night. So why does 40% of the startup businesses never become profitable? It's because they're missing basics that a profitable business startup must have. Value. You got to bring value to the marketplace. Then at that point, you've got to have commitment to sacrifice everything so that that business succeeds. You've got to be able to get in front of your audience, and you have to be able to back up your commitment. It's real simple. Have something worth buying, get it in front of your audience, and then back up the commitment. Those three things right there create a successful business. You might say, well, Chris, I don't have the money, the capital. Then you got to start where you can start. Maybe you've got a family member or a friend or somebody in your network that believes enough in you, the jockey, not the horse, but the jockey, believes enough in you that they believe you're a good investment, and they'll be able to give you some. There's SBA loans. You need to check with your local banks, with your community banks, not your big banks. Check with your local community banks. I know here locally, we've got a nonprofit that really focuses on business startups. Check with your CDF, Community Development Foundation in your city. Start asking. You got to get out there and ask the question. hey, this is what I'm looking to do, and I'm low on capital. I need this much for equipment. I need this much to purchase inventory. Here's my business plan. I'm going to invest this much, and my cost of goods is going to be this right here. And then I'm going to market it in this manner, and my marketing budget is going to be this right here. It'll get me in front of so many eyeballs. And then out of those eyeballs, I'll have so many percentage that commits to purchase. And then once I make the sale, then I'll have this profit margin. You need to know projected. No, you're not going to know the factual because you've not walked it. You don't have a track record yet, but you need to know the projected numbers. You need to know the projected effort of what it's going to require to be able to build the business that you're trying to build. These individuals that never became profitable failed in one of those things. They either did not have something that held enough value, or they didn't have enough eyeballs and big enough audience to purchase so that they would be profitable, or they didn't follow up their commitment. If I came in there and I hustled and said, I've got Mr. Restaurant, I've got this carpet cleaning service. I'm going to come in here and I can get all of the spills and stains and grease tracking from the kitchen to the front of the house, and it's making that odor. I'm going to be able to get all of that, and I'm going to take care of this for you for this amount of money, and I can come in here every 4 weeks and do it. And they hire me, and then I show up and I clean it okay the first time. And then maybe I show up 15 to 30 minutes late the next night, and the manager leaves because she didn't think I was going to show up. And then maybe I get a third chance and I show up, but it'd been a long day. And so I just cleaned the main areas, and in the back corner, I didn't think nobody had noticed. So I didn't really mess with it because it made me get home quicker. And I still billed for the same amount like I cleaned all the carpet. And then the manager walks in the next morning and happens to go over to that area and sees that I half-assed it, that I skipped it. That's not backing up the value. That right there is not bringing it. So you want to start a business, right? Or you've already started your business. What are you lacking? Why are you not growing? Is it because you're not telling enough individuals? You're not getting in front of enough eyeballs? Is it because you're not passionate enough and bold enough to push your dream because you're committed to it, and your commitment is a non-negotiable, that no matter what it takes, you were going to succeed? I remember hearing a story about the American Apparel guy. And these were just plain t-shirts. Like they were colored t-shirts, no graphics, nothing. I forget where I saw this from, but this dude, and this is me trying to recall it, it's not going to be 100% accurate, but this guy had failed like 4, 5, or 6 times. He had tried to start a apparel company and failed. And he finally succeeded on the 4th or 5th, maybe it was 6 times he failed. I mean, and when he failed, he lost money. I think he went bankrupt a couple of times. So the simple fact that he was able to have the confidence to start back up and the conviction of his dream to start back up, and also be able to bring someone else in as a capital provider. I don't know if he had a bank. I wouldn't think he had just a ton of money sitting in his personal bank account. So there had to be someone that was pushing capital into this endeavor, this new business. The fact that he was able to come back from those losses and still build that business, and his stinking t-shirts sold for like $30 for just a plain thin t-shirt. It was insane. This was back probably 15, 16 years ago. And I was looking, like Googled, good quality t-shirt or something like that. And American Apparel is just popping all over the place. I don't know if they're still doing business. I haven't checked into it, but that just came to my mind when I was thinking about the simple fact that you got to be so convicted of your dreams that your endurance level is off the charts. It has to be non-negotiable, because as soon as you let just a little bit of negotiation come in, at that point, you begin to waver. And then if you waver and hard times come back to back, you are not going to be persistent in your dreams, and you're going to think it just wasn't meant to be. But I'm here to tell you that there is hope. I began to invest in myself with coaching when I hit that wall of technician trying to move into CEO. Because as the technician, you do it all to the highest level because your pride is invested in it. And when you begin to hire other individuals, you've got a trust issue. And if you don't have certain systems, simple systems set in place to say, when you pull up at the location for the restaurant to clean, you walk in and you greet the manager on duty. You let them know that you're there and you introduce yourself. You make sure that no one's in the restaurant and it's fully closed down. There's no guests, there's no customers. And then you begin to flip your chairs on top of the tables. Then you go out and you hook up your water. Then you bring in this hose and you bring in this hose. And then you lay down your pre-spray so that it begins to break up the dirt. Then you crank your truck mount and you go and you start extracting with your hot water extraction. See, simple, repetitive steps, and then you delegate and pass that off to someone. So when I was working graveyard shift, I was sitting there working nights, and then I would answer calls during the day, and I would even go out and execute some of the daytime cleanings as I was able to grab them. I never did not delay or push any of those. I wanted the money because I knew as soon as I got some money, I could drop it back into the company and I would be able to expand with with employees. I'd be able to hire employees so that I could build out team members to delegate more tasks off, and that allowed me to scale. So when I was walking around like a zombie, I said, it's time to hire somebody. So what did I hire somebody for? The night shift. And they began to run with me, and I trained them and I showed them how I did it. And there was a whole lot of fear that they were going to fuck it up. But I was able to let them go with it because my desire to grow was greater than my desire to control. And when your desire to grow is greater than your desire to control, then you will make decisions that are based off scalability and not controllability. So I delegated those tasks off and had a technician, trained them up, and then I stuck them in a lead technician when I saw that they could handle those responsibilities, and I hired another person. And I put them as a technician because we run teams when we go out and clean. So now I have two working a night shift, and I'm 100% free to push the business for daytime shift, to grab more businesses that wanted me to come in during the daylight hours, to also jump into networking groups so that I could plug myself into residential cleanings. I didn't have a marketing budget. Remember, every bit of the money I had, I dropped into equipment, and then I studied as much as I could online on every free platform. You can get a stinking education and never have to pay for it. You're just going to have to put the time in and research multiple areas. And as I began to grow that and grow my daytime shift, I began to find myself as the bottleneck because everyone would come to me and say, Chris, what about this? How do you want to do this? And it's because I didn't have good enough systems that were simple and repetitive that I can hand off and say, here's how you do it. Because what was happening is we began, because of my marketing and my push and me telling everybody that I saw who I was and what I did, and me posting visual videos of the work that we were doing and telling them we could do the same thing for you on these social media platforms, I began to get business coming in. I had an online presence and I was getting great reviews because I was asking my customers to give us a review if they were 100% happy and thought we gave them a 5-star review. I said, if you don't feel like we gave you a 5-star review, then please tell me how I can make it a 5-star review before we conclude this service. And it began to scale, but everything was coming back to me because now they weren't having one-on-one training with me for several weeks. They were getting stuck with other technicians, and those technicians knew just what they needed to do. They didn't understand how to teach and how to train. They didn't know when you walked in through your process, you had to sit there and explain why you're doing something so that they would understand. Because if you don't explain the why, then they don't think it's important, or they think that they can change it up without it affecting the outcome. But when you give the why, this is why we do this. The reason we pre-spray before we bring our hoses in is so that we don't pre-spray on top of our hoses. It does something in your mind and it clicks. It sets it in there because now you have an understanding of why it was done. But if I just said, don't bring the hoses in and pre-spray, that's probably going to be a step that they forgot. Same thing with anything else. So these simple processes handed off would have made my life much easier. Now I'm sitting here at a 7-figure revenue company and every question's coming back to me. So as I'm laying in bed and as I'm sitting there cooking dinner or I'm hanging out with the family, I've got these things running through my head. Did I get this done? Did I get this accomplished? Are we set up for tomorrow? Instead of having those systems in place. See, here's the difference between your technician and your CEO. Systems. Because as soon as you've got systems, the delegation process is so much smoother and quicker. And you know what needs to be delegated and what doesn't. So finally, I hired some coaches and I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on coaches because I was determined and committed to grow and scale this company. See, here's what you need to catch. Throughout this entire journey that I have just walked you guys through in the last 30 minutes, there has been one key word, and it has been commitment. I was committed because my passion demanded it and my purpose required it. Yours does too. It's not an easy road, but let me tell you, my life is much easier now. Do I still have the problems? Sure. I have my own little problems. I've got the fires that I've got to stick out. I've still got tons of improvement to do. But I finally got to a level after I plugged in systems and processes and I plugged in key performance indicators so the team members knew what was expected of them. I communicated what they were to do and what was expected of them. Now they've got a recipe for success. And they were able to go out and execute it. And if they don't execute, then they understand that this is what the requirement was. So therefore, you no longer can hold this position because you're not fulfilling those expectations. Now, I get to go after other ventures, other endeavors. I got into real estate. I got a little money coming in. I'm not trading my time in absolute cleaning and restoration. Every moment of my time's not being traded for that to bring revenue. I've got team members that love what they do, that enjoy the culture that has been created because it was a part of my character that spread across this company. And what is my character? It's my core values. And what are my core values? Their growth, their excellent service, their accountability, their teamwork, their resourcefulness. Forgot the R in there. It spells out great. Growth, resourcefulness, excellent service, accountability, and teamwork. That was me sitting down and saying what matters to me. What has helped me go far in life? What will help others go far in life? It helped me hire. It helped me determine whether I was going to keep a customer or not. It helped me do performance reviews with my team members to make sure that they're on vision with the company. All of these things matter. You might be saying, dang, Chris, I thought you started with 3 things. Well, you build on top of those 3 pillars. Those are your foundation blocks, and then you begin to add these things to them. There's a lot that goes into it, yeah? There is. But with great sacrifice, there's great reward. And I promise you will not regret the sacrifice when you make it on the other side. And so many people quit right there at the edge before they get to experience the win, before they get to experience that level of success that they've been desiring to experience so much because it just got so heavy and they got so tired. But in their head, they stopped believing that they were going to win. It goes back to your mindset. And when your mindset is right, you will stay committed. It is absolutely necessary for you to believe in yourself, because without belief in yourself, when it gets hard, you will quit because you will think it just wasn't meant to be. And dang it, I'm telling you, it was meant to be. If you thought it up and you desired it, it is meant to be. It's only not meant to be when you stop desiring it. When you stop being persistent and grabbing a hold and putting action towards you achieving your goals and dreams. Life was meant to be lived. I'm living it now. I've got past that heavy startup lift. And now I'm getting to reap the fruits of that labor. See, here's the difference between what we're trained and what reality is. You don't pop it in the microwave and pop it out and boom, it's done. If you want something sustainable, you've got to put the work in, and sacrifice will always be involved. Once the sacrifice has been paid, you've paid your dues, then you will be able to reap the rewards and benefits later on in life, because now you've paid the cost for the value add to your lifestyle. I want you guys to live in success. I do have an ask. If you've enjoyed this episode, then please hop on to whatever platform you're listening this to. Give me a 5-star review and then type something in there, something that you feel about this, because when you give me some type of written comment, it helps boost me up the algorithm so that others can find me and they can increase and grow in their mindset, business, and investing. Also, we got a Facebook group called Bigger Vision page on Facebook, and you can plug into that absolutely free. We're knocking on the doors of 900 members right now. We're growing rapidly. We're dropping live videos every week. We've got special guests talking about investing, talking about taxes, talking about how to build your retirement, talking about business and strategies, and then mindset, health and wellness. If it has to do with growth, then it is getting onto that page, and you want to plug into that free community, much less the great comments and remarks that comes from our tribe within that community already. There is an endeavor that I want to tell you about. I am hooking up as a partner with Kevin, and he's got a business that he has grown and pushed it into multiple states. And he's just an all-around spectacular guy. He has a great mindset. Me and him have been watching each other on social media and watching the journey. And we decided to partner up, and we want to help young entrepreneurs. We want to help entrepreneurs that are starting up and the ones that are sitting in that purgatory stage where they're around that $250,000 to $350,000 revenue a month. They can't really bust out of that. They're wearing all the hats to the business, and they just need some coaching. They need some fresh eyes to come in and say, dude, you've got it all together, but if you tweak this and you tweak that, then you're going to see exponential growth just blast you away, and your income is going to increase, your team will increase, the efficiency of your company will increase. And this is why it's so important to have fresh eyes come in, because we get into minutia of the day-to-day, and it's very hard to be able to pull out of that and actually work on the business because we're so consumed of what's going on inside the business. And it's hard for us to rise above it. But when you bring in fresh eyes with a coach, a mentor, then they can sit there and communicate with you because they see things at a different perspective. And in closing, I had a mentor friend that she said, when I feel stuck, like I am in the mud, I will literally go stand on a chair in the room so that I can experience a different perspective, because this transitions out of that reality realm into my mental as well. And it helps put me in that train of thought so that I began to have a different perspective on what's going on in my life right now. That has stuck with me for over 20 years because I believe it is such a magnificent way to talk about how to view life. It all is based out of perspective. And if you are stuck in one way, then physically do something to change so that will change over into your mentality. The physical will help you move mentally, and standing in a chair in a room, getting a different perspective in that room will help get you into that train of thought and different perspective on what your troubles are currently in life. I want you guys to live in success. I appreciate you so much. And until next time, let's grow together.
This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.